on using. Thank you. I was just about to mention that. But welcome to our Power Hour on using creative communication techniques to build entrepreneurial skills. I'm Robin Eisen, the Special Project Manager for YEI, YIPI Manager, and your host for today. A shout out to the Go-Go's for providing our opening music, Vacation. And thank you to all of those who answered the opening question about what is your favorite winter break activity. So this will come as no surprise to any of you, but when I'm on vacation or our upcoming staycation for this winter break, we play games at my family and I love them. I love playing games. It's one of the activities that my entire family can agree on. We don't always agree on which game to play, and that can turn into, some little negotiating, but we always play at least one new game. Last year, it was Wingspan and Logos, and Logos is now on the approved YIPI game grant list. But this year, it's going to be a new game called Pivot Pitch, a game from Nathan Mins from Green Light Improv, and one that we're going to learn a little about shortly. But before that, I wanted to take a second to introduce all of our speakers today. In addition to Nathan Mins from Green Light Improv, Marisa Material Maori and Permjot Valia will be joining us to talk about storytelling. Both improv and storytelling offer creative and unique ways to communicate our ideas. Entrepreneurs need all the tools that they can get to deliver their message, and we have some great creative ideas for you today. Like all our Power Hours, we will keep this to 1 hour, record it, and send you all the information in an email for your reference. Feel free to ask questions during the call. Nathan Mins is a professional speaker and trainer and the founder of Green Light Improv. He uses Green Light Improv to teach the principles of improv comedy to help people embrace new ideas, experiences, and connections. Nathan has experience in both the corporate world as an entrepreneur and as an actor. He soon realized when he was acting that his acting skills were having a real impact on other areas of his life. And that's what enabled him to start Greenlight Improv, where he uses many of that techniques to teach communication and entrepreneurial skills with the overlap of improv. And he is just back from the Kingdom of Bahrain or Bahrain. I'm not sure. Nathan, you'll have to correct me on that, where he has spent the last couple days teaching entrepreneurial skills in an accelerator format. But Nathan, I'll let you fill in all the details there. So Nathan, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Amazing. Thank you. And we can collect, we can spotlight for everyone here. So my name is Nathan Mins. I am a 3-time entrepreneur and now full-time facilitator, speaker, MC, and entrepreneurship coach. In short, I help early stage founders bring their ideas to market and make their ideas into reality to unlock their entrepreneurial potential. And the interesting piece there is that I do it through the principles of improv comedy. So one big question, if we can just get a show of hands, how many people have ever seen improv comedy live? Improv comedy live. Amazing. Okay, great. I bet that everyone else too has probably seen a pretty popular TV show that uses improv comedy. The type of improv comedy that they do on Whose Line Is It Anyway isn't the type of improv comedy that I would say is most prevalent. But we can talk a bit about that. So what improv comedy really is at its core is that improv comedy is anytime we don't have a script. That helps us apply it a lot to different areas of communication, but it also can help apply it to entrepreneurship. So when we are doing improv comedy, we get on stage, we ask for a single word, and we use that word to inspire a variety of scenes, usually lasting somewhere about 30 minutes. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 60, but the average is 30 minutes. These are scenes that have never been done before and will never be done again, but only exists in this one moment with you, the improviser, and your audience. Now, that's all great. That's great that we can know what improv is, but how does this relate at all to entrepreneurship? Well, let me describe improv comedy in a different way, and we'll see if we can see the connection between improv and entrepreneurship. So when we perform improv, we get on stage, and we have no idea what's about to happen. We're going to try to control the situation as much as we can, but we really can't. We're really just trying to grasp at things that that can't hold us up. So there's a lot of unpredictability there. This is at a time when there are likely hundreds of eyeballs staring right at us. So we have no idea what's going to happen next, and we're under quite a bit of stress. And we very often have a team that's surrounding us. Not always, but oftentimes. To me, that is very similar to entrepreneurship. The idea of being on stage as it feels and having a lot of people watching us and not knowing what we're going to do next, it can be very stressful. But like in most entrepreneurship cases, we have a team. Whether that's an official team, we're all on one project, or it's a community that is rallying behind you, we likely have a team. So this is how we connect improv to entrepreneurship. But when we do it, we're not just doing like standard improv exercises and then like, here you go, good luck. It's going to be great. You got it. And hoping that there's a connection there. So instead, we try to do more entrepreneurship exercises that are very engaging and take the principles of improv comedy. So I'll give an example. Very often, people think that as improvisers, they think, wow, these are funny people. This is great. I'm going to go and see a show and I'm going to see funny people and I'm going to laugh because they make so many good jokes. So people see that and think, I'm going to do improv. That person starts performing improv. And the first time they perform, every improviser I know has experienced this. First time you perform, you get out and you're in front of the audience for the first time. There's 100 people there and you get a bunch of steam up and you make a big joke. And immediately you realize a couple things. First, nobody laughed because it's really hard. You realize telling jokes off the top of your head for anybody is really hard. That's why stand-up comedians write down what they do. And then they just rehearse it and say it again. So you realize it was really hard. The other thing you realize is that not only did no one laugh, but now everyone knows that no one laughed and that you tried to make a joke. And it's unbearable to sit there. So very, very quickly, every improviser burns our hand. And it's very similar to entrepreneurship, where someone makes like a 50, 100-page business plan, and then they start, and on day 2, they're like, oh, I need to throw out this whole thing because I assumed something that isn't true. So instead, in improv, we use the same principles of entrepreneurship that was popularized in the book, The Lean Startup, of build, measure, learn. So as improvisers, we build something, we measure its response, and we learn from it. That helps us develop our products, but it also helps in communication and developing our communication skills. Because when we're communicating, anytime we don't have a script is improv, when we're communicating, we talk to someone, and no matter how much we've planned it before, we throw something out, we measure the other person's response, we learn what's going well, what can be improved, and we continue moving forward. So there is an exercise that is on YEI. There's two products that are on YEI that can be helpful. And they help teach communication skills and also teach these basic tenets of entrepreneurship, of pivoting. And like Robin said, it's a game called Pivot Pitch. So I'll walk you through a little bit of how Pivot Pitch works and why and when this game can be useful for a group of students. Because it is designed for students to be able to work together better, to develop their pitching skills, especially when they're under a little bit of safe pressure, and the ability to pivot. So the ability to know when do I change my idea? When do I move forward? Because I think that that is one of the most important skills of entrepreneurship, to know when to make a big change. So I'll go through this pretty quickly, and then I'll throw it off to give it off to our next presenter here. But here's how this game works. It comes with 90 cards in this deck. And in this 90 cards, there's 4 types of cards. We have our instruction cards, just 3 of them. The instructions are rather simple here. And then we have 3 more kinds. First, we have a deck of adjectives and a deck of nouns. There's about 30 of each of these. And these are just random adjectives. So we have spotty, finicky, itchy, a lot of adjectives. And then we have the same thing with nouns. This is how the game works. You take your group. I've done this with groups of with between 1 and 150 people at a time. So how the game works is you break the group into groups of 4 to 6 people. Everyone in the group elects one person to come on up, grab an adjective and a noun. So here we have sporty computer. Sporty computer becomes the basis of their pitch. So this is the name of the product, service, initiative, something that they pitch. Sporty computer. You give them about 1 minute. It's a tight time frame on purpose. And then you have them pitch in front of the class. And a pitch might look something like this. Hey, everybody, my name's Nathan Mins, and I'm the founder of Sporty Computer. Here's the big problem I have. I'm just pretty rough with technology. And I've also liked to rock climb. Right after this, I'll probably be going rock climbing. But I'd like a computer that I can just work anywhere. Climb up the wall halfway and say, oh, I should answer that email. Enter Sporty Computer. This is a computer that is durable. This is a durable piece of equipment that I can go up the wall and halfway through, pull it up. And if I drop it, it's fine. It's a durable computer. So I pitch Sporty Computer right there. Now, after I've pitched in front of the group, you pick up a pivot card. So you have all these pivot cards. There's, I believe, 54 questions among these cards. And you, as the facilitator, asks a question that's like, why did your company buy a lion? Why did your company buy a lion? So now your students are in a, quote, high pressure but safe situation, and they have to answer this question on the spot. So they just pitched Sporty Computer. Why did your company buy a lion? And they look at each other for a second, and then they say, yeah, we did buy a lion, actually. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why we bought a lion. It's because we want a way to test and show how sporty and durable it is. So when you buy it, it's in a cage with a lion, and the lion's just stepping on it and biting it and stuff. And it's super clear that this is one durable piece of equipment. So in that way, you give students the opportunity to present, to work together, communicate under some decent amount of safe pressure, and then you have them learn to pivot in real time. That is called Pivot Pitch. It's on YEI. It's 75 points. It comes with both the deck of cards and a 30-minute call with me to talk about how to integrate it into your into your classroom. And then if you like this game, this is a good proxy to know. If you enjoy this game, there is also a facilitator guide that is 200 points that has 11 exercises that are sort of similar to this. I mean, they're all very different, but similar vibe that you can use. And that is also on YEI. So we use these principles of improv comedy to be able to say, improv is nice, improv is helpful, but improv alone isn't worth doing. It's only useful in terms of how we can develop communication skills through getting people to work together, and how we can make entrepreneurs more effective and realize that entrepreneurship is something that is for everyone and that they can actually use. So if you'd like to talk more about that at all, we can talk more, but I'm going to pass it back to Robin.
Well, thank you,
Here.
Nathan.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I do have a question for you. What grade level do you think your pivot pitch cards are really designed for?
Pivot pitch cards were designed for like high school, college, but I will say it is a pretty even distribution of people that have bought it and have put positive reviews on it from elementary school up to college.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's just take a quick second to see if anybody else has a question before we move on to our next speaker. Anyone have a question or a comment about the pivot pitch or how to use improv to help build your communication skills? All right, Nathan, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time to share both the game and what you do with us. I think it's a really great overlap. I think the skills that you learn in entrepreneurship are very, very much in line with the skills for improv. And I appreciate you being part of our community. So thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
I'm going to move on to storytelling now. And we have two different speakers today who are going to talk about storytelling, but from very, very different angles. Our first is Marisa Mauro, and she has over 30 years of creative and experience working with storytelling. She uses her imagination, and her personalized approach to bring her puppets, which is her medium of storytelling, to life for our youngest learners. Here, when Marisa works with your youngest learners, they're working on all different kinds of skills, but primarily skills that are like problem solving and caring and communication and perseverance. And I'm going to let her talk all about it, but I just want to mention that her puppets really give the students that she works with a safe avenue to explore these feelings and these new techniques. She really incorporates every child's point of view. And even more important than that is she works with her educators prior to launching or coming into the classroom to make sure that she's meeting what the educators are looking for in terms of the major entrepreneurship skill building goals. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Marisa Mauro, who is also known as the Puppet Lady, for interactive storytelling. So Marisa, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, my name is Marisa, otherwise known as Miss Marisa or the Puppet Lady. And I've been teaching and working with children, as Robin said, for over 30 years. And I created the storytelling curriculum over 20 years ago, and it just kind of keeps evolving and evolving. And it really is, as I say, the spot where the seeds are planted for entrepreneurship, because it's really the time that children can start to think about collaboration and being a good listener and listening to others' thoughts and ideas, coming up with problem-solving ideas. So it really sort of takes on a very kind of intimate setting, because when I come into a classroom, I gather the children all together. Usually they're sitting on the rug and I kind of sit in the smallest chair, and we pull out these puppets, and I'm going to sort of pull out 3 of our favorites. And it really does give children a safe avenue to be able to express all of these thoughts and ideas. Sort of takes it away from they're not being the ones that everyone's looking at, but they're sort of throwing these ideas to some of these other puppet friends. I don't hide behind anything. I sort of sit right with them, and we sort of start this whole conversation. And it's always very interesting to me because, believe it or not, even our youngest students, preschoolers, can be so focused in their thought process that you really sort of want to make sure that you yourself are listening to what's going on, because one idea and one thought leads to another. all within the same sort of avenue that we start to talk about. So for instance, we sort of have this little puppet friend, Pablo the polar bear, kind of comes out. And there's a lot of consistency when I work with students also. We just did, one of the teachers that I just worked with in one of the schools, we just did sort of a 2-part collaboration where we really wanted children to sort of be able to express their feelings and get their ideas out. So we sort of did a 2-parter. And we sort of had Pablo the polar bear kind of comes out and talks about maybe what it's like to feel a little bit shy and kind of not be able to sort of, you know, express feelings and have a little bit of a reserve. And how do we treat each other that are feeling a little bit shy? And how might you feel when you're feeling a little bit shy, when you have all these different thoughts and ideas that you want to share? And it's amazing to hear what children will say. They will say, they go and they introduce themselves and they find out some things they might have in common. And that makes some of the friends feel better. They'll introduce them to others and they get to know all the different kinds of things they have in common. So these sort of thoughts and ideas kind of lead to sort of other thoughts and ideas where we really can start to talk about collaborating together and problem solving together. So we sort of work kind of sort of some of those emotions out, like I'm feeling a little shy, I'm feeling a little reserved. Do I really want to share some of these thoughts and ideas kind of with Pablo? And then we might have our sort of friend here, Fiona the rabbit, that has not 1 ounce of being shy, but has so many thoughts and ideas that Fiona wants to get out and talk about. And sort of how do we sort of stay focused? We kind of have to be ready for anything when we're working with children. There's a lot of spontaneity that happens, but we sort of bring it right back to where we're starting to talk about, like I said, some of these problem solving skills and some of these ideas that we might come up with, and how do we collaborate together as a group. So there's sort of a lot that happens in kind of that setting with sort of a puppet like Fiona. And then we might have this puppet. This is a beloved friend and very interesting. This is our little puppet friend, Sammy, the flying squirrel. And Sammy has some real issues on how Sammy needs to sort of figure out kind of navigating the world and sort of gliding from tree to tree, and sort of has all these things that kind of really, he's frustrated with and can be a little angry with because he can't figure things out. And what comes out of these young people is so amazing in terms of how they shoot different ideas, raise their hand and share all of this kind of problem solving, these strategies to sort of help Sammy the squirrel kind of figure out navigating tree to tree. And then what's sort of interesting that happens is that they so often can bring it back to themselves. There's something I really had to work at and practice on. There was something in a classroom where some students were working on building this amazing building, and some were getting very frustrated because others weren't really listening. And we sort of talked about how if we take a turn and listen closely, how those kind of moments might give you a chance to sort of come up with your idea and be able to share that idea with your friends. And also that kind of leads to sort of the sharing of caring and kindness for others, which is really so important for these younger students also. How do we share that? How do we sort of bring that to others? And all the different bits and parts that come from that sharing is absolutely like amazing. And what they have to share is always so new in many ways, and really gives them the opportunity to really feel safe in these settings to sort of come up with these other ideas and maybe share some pieces of themselves that they've been really kind of struggling with or have been wanting to sort of get out and share. And it really gives them an opportunity to be able to do that with all of their classroom and the students in the classroom. There was one other thing I wanted to mention. about lots of problem solving. And I think something that's really, really important is that during this process, we sort of have to be ready for anything and kind of be open to some things that, maybe come up in conversation, or maybe something that is kind of a new idea that even as the storyteller with my puppet friends, I sort of have another avenue to kind of, sort of go off on. And I think if you're a teacher in a classroom that kind of wants to bring this to your students, that's something really, really important to kind of keep in your mix, that you sort of have to be ready for anything that could come up. And sometimes things come up that you think to yourself, well, this is really interesting that this is kind of going down this certain path. And I think it's so important to be able to just kind of let that happen and just sort of bring it back to the same, sort of path and the same focus from the very beginning. And usually with children, it happens so readily. I also, when I come into a classroom, there's so much opportunity for children to share their thoughts and ideas with all of these different puppet friends. And I think as time goes on and I go back to visit, a classroom that they're now first graders and I saw them as kindergartners. I mean, it's amazing if I bring back a puppet friend from the year before, how they remember all of the details. They'll remember that Pablo was shy and kind of all the things that they did to sort of bring Pablo back to feeling comfortable. And the fact that if you're feeling a little shy, you find out different things you had in common, or the fact that they helped Sammy figure out some strategies and some problem solving in navigating, the world and the trees. And they'll say, there's something that I had to do. I had to practice something to get a little bit better. And they'll say to Sammy, you need to practice. And Sammy, don't give up and believe in yourself. So these are all the kind of building pieces that sort of happen when I come to do the storytelling with children. And we go from preschool to, I've done fourth grade classrooms, and actually I've even done a high school group of students. And it was really cool to sort of just kind of be in a group and talk about what storytelling and maybe the use of a puppet can sort of do in helping them come up with some interesting conversation. So it's a real sort of time for children to be able to use their imagination, yet stay very focused. It really plants all of those seeds in thinking about problem solving and being a good listener and strategizing and coming up with these different ideas. And I think the part that's always given me sort of the most kind of excitement about it is that it really is using your imagination, but in a really focused way, which I think is just so cool for children to be able to do, and especially today, really needed, especially today. So yes, I could go on and on. Showing more of my puppets.
So Marisa,
Yes.
do you provide services both online and in person, or
I definitely, I mean, during the pandemic, we did so many Zoom storytelling times, and actually it worked out beautifully. So yes, being online is definitely something that can happen 100%.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And we do have a comment, and I know you're going to know who this is from, but storytelling with Marisa was always a highlight when I was in elementary school. So you do have followers. I can say in the Cleveland area, for certain. Marisa started in the Cleveland suburbs and has since kind of spread out. And then unfortunately, with the pandemic, now you go very far and can have a far reach. Marisa's product on YEI, or these storytelling, is really geared towards the younger learner, but it is also available to the older learners. So I'm going to take a quick pause here just to make sure we don't have any questions or comments from anyone in our who's listening. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Marisa before we move on?
I made my comment in the chat, but it really is incredible. Like we would always look forward to it in elementary school. It was so much fun. So
Thank
definitely
you.
worth it.
You. I
Lynn,
mean, it is kind of interesting that I've had young
Oh.
adults come up to me and remember some of our puppet friends that we worked with. So that is kind of cool.
We did have one comment and a really great suggestion from Lynn Ward, who said, I would like to see older kids use the puppets and present to younger kids. What a great idea.
Yes.
Maybe that's
Great idea.
another potential
100%. We could do
offering
that.
we could do, Lynn. I love that.
That is a great idea. I should just quickly add too, I have wonderful communication with teachers beforehand. We really sort of talk about, you know, what would you like to focus on? What do you think? What are, you know, really tailored to kind of sort of the makeup of each classroom. So that really is a really nice part of all of this too. We get to have a nice sort of pre and post conversation, good conversations throughout.
I think that's a great idea too.
Yeah,
Love that.
very cool. Yeah.
Well, thank
Robin,
you. Yeah.
Thank you.
if I may, Marisa, hi, it's Anne.
Oh, Anne, yay! Hi.
I wanted to echo that. The customization of it, like making it an experience, like if the kiddos are learning about community mindedness or whatever they're experiencing. And so we just had Marisa back this week with the same class. The puppets posed issues and problems they were having, and we turned it into a PBL. And then when Marisa brought the puppets back, the kiddos were sharing their solutions to their problems. So it was amazing.
It was so good, touching my heart, because it really was amazing to happen, to see
Oh, that's great.
kind of how that all came together. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
And to be
Really
able
great.
to focus sort of the lesson and the entrepreneurial skills that are built around a certain lesson that the teacher is talking about, in this case, community, and kind of
100%.
overlap them using puppetry and storytelling, I think is a really unique offering and something that you can't necessarily get just anywhere. So I agree.
Thank you, Anne.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and thank you, Marisa.
Thank you.
We're going to continue to move on, but you know, if you do have questions and you want to pop them into the chat, we can certainly get back to those for either Marisa or Nathan. But we are going to move on now to our third speaker, who is Permjot Valia, and he is the founder and CEO of Mentor Camp and co-founder of Flight and Partners. He is also a pitch trainer, an advisor, and an executive director to numerous businesses and economic development collaborations around the world. So we have like a world theme going on today. He is also an angel investor in over 50 startups in 4 different countries and is currently a Goodwill ambassador to the state of Arkansas. And I also have to just throw in there a Yippee provider too. He is also a skilled storyteller and will help us learn about a couple different proven methods of breaking down how to tell your story so that people will care. This is a skill that everyone, from our youngest to our oldest to even past high school, everyone, including everyone who is on the call today, can learn from. So I'm very pleased to have Permjot take over the conversation. So Permjot, it is all yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you. What a pleasure to be here. Thank you for introducing me. And yeah, great. I want to talk about storytelling, and I wanted to begin with really saying why storytelling is so important. All of us in our day-to-day lives have to tell stories. This week, I've been working with universities across Canada. We're running this university researcher program, and I'm working with researchers doing PhDs and post-PhDs in terms of how to tell their story so that people care. Because there are so many people who have a voice. Their voice needs to be heard, but it needs to be heard in a way that it's well received. Because it's not about just being an active listener, but telling your story in a way that people want to listen, want to engage. Recently, Scott Galloway, in one of his publications, said the only skill he would want his children to learn, if he had to choose just one skill, it is the skill of storytelling. I've been coaching a CEO today and really telling him your only job is to be a storyteller. It's through the storytelling you'll attract staff, you'll attract customers, you'll attract investors. I cannot stress just how important a skill storytelling is, and everyone is capable of being a great storyteller if we can just break it down the way Marisa did, give them tools that they can use. And I love the way Nathan introduced people to the play element. So it's a hard act to follow those two, but I will try my best. And if any of you have any questions throughout my quick talk, please do feel free to interrupt and ask. The first thing is that all stories follow certain structures and certain rules. And one of the things is it's called the 4S framework. So all stories should have something called the 4S. The 4S is it should be solo, it should be sapient, it should be sensory, and it should be simple. Now, when teaching children, I think rather than using that 4S, I think the mnemonic chef works better. So chef would be, it's got to be clear. So your story has to be clear. By clear, it means just one thing. What is the one thing you want to tell people? Sometimes people try to tell 3 or 4 things because they're so excited. What is the one thing? And have that discipline to say, I want to get one key message over in this story. So be clear. Be human. Be human. Stories have to relate to humans. When it relates to people, I'm reading a great book at the moment, and it's all about if it's data versus story, stories will always win. Even Jeff Bezos said that if there's a discussion, if there's a debate, and the debate is between an anecdote and a data set, anecdotes always win. So make it relatable, make it an anecdote. Make it easy language. Make sure the language is very simple. Scientists, researchers, lawyers, they try to confuse you with jargon. It never works. So make sure the language is very easy. Dr. Seuss is a great example of really good language structure. And then finally, make sure your story has a feel to it. It has to make people feel something. In all the data, on all the studies done, people will not remember what you said to them, but they will remember how you made them feel. We'll all remember Nathan and how he made us feel through his very dynamic presentation. We'll all remember how Marisa made us feel with the presentation and the relatable. And I think some of the comments about wouldn't it be great if we could get older kids to teach younger kids. And again, it's all about that feeling. So it's a really, really interesting idea. So those are the 4 concepts I think every good story structure has. The next thing to think about is the characters that every good story has. Every great story, be it a religious story, be it a story based in Disney, be it a story that you've seen on any movie, they all have 3 characters. And those 3 characters are the hero, the shadow, and the light. This was a really, really big revelation for me when I learned this. I love storytelling. I've been doing it for years and years and years. But what's really interesting is I always thought that my job as a public speaker was to be the hero. And teachers will know how wrong and how flawed that thinking is. Our job as speakers, as educators, is to turn the students, the audience, the customers, the investors, the employees into heroes. Our job is to be the light. Using the Star Wars analogy, the hero would be Luke Skywalker. The light would be Obi-Wan Kenobi, where the light offers the hero the opportunity to be a hero. The choice is theirs, but we can, if you want to become a hero, we will offer you the way. And then there's always the shadow. What is the darkness? What is the thing we are confronting? What is the obstacle the hero has to overcome to become a hero? So those are the 3 elements. So any great story would have a hero, would have a shadow and a light. Now, when you think about Nathan's story about the sporty computer, the hero was the person using the sporty computer. The sporty computer wasn't the hero. The product in any great pitch is the light, and the person using the product becomes the hero. So somebody wants to climb mountains, to use your example, they want to do all kinds of sport, but they can't because their laptop isn't sporty enough, can't keep up with them. Now, Nathan, through this brilliant sporty computer, can become a hero fighting the shadow, which is the obstacles on the way, the ruggedness of the terrain, the uphill places they have to, they don't want to break their laptop when they're doing this. So suddenly the sporty computer allows you to become a hero. So that's the kind of 3 key characters that you want to teach. Then finally, there are storytelling structures themselves. And there are 4 main structures that I would teach children. Those are the broken world, Disney, Pixar, and something called YEI. And Daniel Pink, who writes extensively on psychology, of thinking, etc., a great person to follow. He often talks about the Disney structure used in selling. So this is something that adults and children, everybody would use the Disney structure. I teach scientists how to use the Disney structure in conveying very complicated research that they're doing. The broken world basically tries to say the story has 3 acts. The 3 acts are the broken world, describe the broken world, describe the struggle to fix the broken world, and then show how the world is fixed. A lot of Shakespearean dramas would use this. And the great thing about this storytelling and entrepreneurship is linking it to English and linking it to improving people's ability to both enjoy a story by saying, can you tell me the themes and the structure? Can you tell me how this story relates to this? How can you tell the same story? Now, how can you use that structure to tell a story, to sell an idea, to sell a product, to sell a solution, to sell something to somebody? Then the Disney structure is simply, and it's like using scaffolding, once upon a time, every day, until one day, because of that, they all lived happily ever after. So that would be the scaffolding. And again, if you don't mind, Nathan, I would like to use the computer, the sporty computer, to actually illustrate some of these structures. And then there's the Pixar storytelling structure. With the Pixar storytelling structure, there's always an inciting incident. Every Pixar story starts with an inciting incident, and there's a resolve to, we are going to fix this. And then there's kind of abandonment, and then the resolve is found again somehow through others in the network. The hero gives up, but then someone else kind of says, come on, you can do this. And then finally there is the resolution. I was watching this movie on Netflix yesterday, Candy Cane. It was an Eddie Murphy Christmas movie. So watching this beautiful Christmas movie, and it's really interesting to see, oh my gosh, these are the steps that the story is going through and how we enjoyed that. And then finally, there is the YEI structure, which is how do you grab people's attention? Your first statement should grab people's attention. You then have to generate interest, make it relevant to the audience. You have to create desire. You have to demonstrate your credibility. And then finally, you have to be clear about what is your ask. In a lot of pitches that startups would make, the YEI structure is more direct, but I think you can introduce people to that methodology of entrepreneurship through Broken World, Disney, YEI, and Pixar. So very, very quickly, in a broken world, using the sporty computer analogy, I'm glad you chose that, not something difficult, Nathan. But if you use the broken world, you would say something like, imagine a world where people need to work and need to enjoy themselves by being and enjoying the great outdoors that we have been blessed in North America with. You have to choose. What a struggle. You can either enjoy yourself or you can be tied to work, because the struggle is real. Do I go up and climb that mountain and not be reachable, not be able to contact my family, not be able to find out how my friends are by not being able to FaceTime or be on my laptop? If only there was a computer that could enable me to do both things. And then suddenly there is this computer that enables me. And you should describe the struggle. The struggle is real. I'm obviously doing this in just 30 seconds, but you would obviously spend 2 or 3 minutes doing this. The Disney structure would be, Once upon a time, people could not wait for the weekend. All week they'd be working, getting on their computers. Their computers would tie to their desks, and they would love the weekend when they could go out and explore the hills. But when they're exploring the hills, enjoying themselves, they feel cut off from their families. They feel cut off from their loved ones. What if something important that they need to do is there? What are the latest sports scores? What if somebody wants to find out what's happening to their local football team? Well, every day people do that until one day Nathan had developed this sporty computer that enabled you. It was very light. It was very, very rugged. It enabled you to do everything you want. Because of that, people could go and enjoy themselves during the weekdays and still be working and still keep in touch with their loved ones. And because of that, life was made easier. People could be in touch and enjoy themselves, and they all lived happily ever after. That's just to give you certain ideas about how you would implement them. Obviously, with the sporty computer, we are just making stuff up as we go along, but that is the essence of it. So I think hopefully that gives people illustration. One of the things with all good storytelling is you must finish on time, and I am just 1 minute under the time allotted to me. So
It's all been so good today with your timing. Continue, Permjot, go
Oh,
ahead.
no, it is very disrespectful, I think, to go over your time. And I think everybody set a great example. And Robin, you were very, very clear in your instructions. So thank you for that as well. Made it easy. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions there may be. And thank you for this opportunity.
There is so much information there. I'm like fast and furiously writing it down. I'm hoping that you can share your notes with me outside of this and we can make them available to everyone. But that was great information also, Permjot. So thank you. We do have a question here about what format works best for entrepreneurial pitches.
Great. I think it depends on who you're pitching to. So often people think entrepreneurial pitches are to investors. Often you're pitching to customers, you're pitching to adopters, you're pitching to employees to come and join you. If you're pitching to an employee to join you, I think something like a Disney or a Pixar, where you explain your personal reasons for being involved and you explain that personal element, works very effective. In standard entrepreneurial pitches, where you are pitching for investment, YEI works very, very well. So YEI structure would be grab people's attention. There are, every year in North America, there are 7 million laptops sold. The number one people look for from laptops is, will they be durable? Will they be rugged? Will they survive contact? Will they break? That we know that people want to enjoy their laptops, they want to have that, but they don't want to do X, Y, and Z. So that's the attention. You've generated interest, then you create desire. You will talk about the sporty computer that you developed, how rugged it is. Then you would demonstrate credibility. We have over 27 years of experience developing the solution. Finally, you would have your ask. We are looking for $500,000, $50,000 to create that, to get this computer into the stores. So that would be, I hope that answers the question, but that would be the standard kind of entrepreneurial pitch.
Well, that's great. And I just realized too that you and Nathan have a little bit in common today, in that your presentation was improv, in that you went off, you didn't really have a script, you had no idea what Nathan was going to be using, and you incorporated his information into your presentation, and I do appreciate that. So thank you. Are there any other questions or comments for any of our presenters today? I think we learned a lot about improv and storytelling from two different, very different angles, but all applicable in teaching our students. You guys are a quiet group today. Anything else? No one? Okay.
I'll speak for everybody in saying that I would like a cheat sheet of to be a reference point for what you talked about today, because I'm a visual learner. And so perhaps you can work with Robin and the YEI team to put a cheat sheet together that we can share with the attendees today. That's a Permjot question.
More than happy to. More than happy to.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Shamira just asked how we can get a recorded session. Just so you know, we do record all of these and we make them available to you through a link on the YEI website that is under the Power Hours. But we also make it very easy because we will be sending you an email asking you about what you thought about today's presentation and what you would like to know more about, because we do want to make these Power Hour sessions very applicable to what you guys are using in your classroom. So we do read each and every survey, and all of that information will be in an email that comes from Evan Ewell as soon as we can get it out. We usually get it out sometime on Friday. Sometimes we don't get it out until Monday. It kind of depends how long it takes to get the recording. Also in that, there was another question about credit, and you can connect with Evan directly for that. And all of this is in the email that will be going out. Eileen, before we close, I wanted to introduce everyone to Eileen Frankel. You've already met her, but so she is the executive director of the Young Entrepreneur Institute, and has just a couple quick announcements.
Thank you, Robin. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that our pitch challenge is live for educators and students in Ohio. And that's our video pitch challenge, where students can solve a problem and identify a problem, create a solution to the problem, create a video pitch, and work to share that with us and enter our competition. We have plenty of time for students to enter. It's open until, I believe, the 20th of February for entries. We have lots of information on our webpage, and there's lots of opportunities to talk with the YEI team through YIPI, to sign up for our toolkit and a workshop. And if you want to have a classroom competition, to sign up for the My Pitch Challenge program. We're so happy to get in touch about that. We have lots of other products on YIPI and lots of other wonderful information on the resources page on our website. And we're always happy to help teachers think about ways to bring entrepreneurial education into their classrooms.
Excellent, thank you. And you can practice some of what you learned today, storytelling, or how to maybe be a better speaker and be improvisational. So that's a really great tie-in. I want to also mention that our next Power Hour will be on Thursday, January 25th at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where we are going to be celebrating Black entrepreneurs. We also have the exit survey that Evan is going to put in the chat for you to take for joining this Power Hour. There is a redemption code that you can use to get 250 points for YIPI. YIPI is, in case you don't know, YIPI is an online marketplace for entrepreneurship education resources. Educators use points to purchase resources like 3 that we talked about today, that are funded by our sponsors. So when all 3 align, when there is a funder who has agreed to pay for or provide a grant for you as an educator, and the provider is there, when the educator picks the grant and all 3 of those align, a match is made and you get the grant for free and you get it very quickly. If you have any questions about YIPI, I am more than happy to stay on and talk to you about that. You can just go to yipi.exchange and register, and you can upload your 250 extra YIPI points for joining us today. Just real quickly mention that the folks here at YEI are in the space of entrepreneurship education every day and are more than happy to talk to you about any element or idea or problem that you might be having in this area. We can connect you to lots of different resources, including those that are on YIPI, as well as some that are not on YIPI. So if you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out at any time. And if you have any comments or questions about today, feel free to speak up. We'd love to hear from you.
And if anybody has any other announcements about a program that they're involved with that they want to share with the community here today, we're certainly happy to do that.
Okay, well, a special thank you goes out to Nathan, Marisa, and Permjot for joining us and for being our speakers today. You guys did excellent. I think there was a lot of great content today, and we really appreciate you sharing your expertise with us and our entire community. So thank you all very much. All right, we're going to officially stop right on time again. I agree, Permjot. Like I always like to try to make sure that we are done and completed by 5 to be very cognizant of everyone's time. And we really appreciate everyone joining us today. And I'm going to stay on for questions for those of you who might not want to speak during the recording or who want to wait till some of the crowd goes down. So I'll be around. If not, we hope to see you in January. Enjoy your holiday, enjoy your winter break, enjoy your time spent. I saw a lot of baking and shopping and spending time with family and hopefully playing a new game. And we will see you in the new year. So thank you all.